everybody. Welcome back to the Codex Station. I am your host today, Sal the Slime Guy. Joining me here, right over here, is the man himself, the Ric Flair, Uncle Gary. And this is Comic Character of the Week, our 75th episode. And guess what that means? It means Team Night. And we are covering the Fantastic Four. How you doing, Gary? Can you hear me?
I'm doing good, my friend. Doing
there
good.
He is.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Absolutely. You kind of froze on me there for a second.
So now you're in the blue of the Fantastic Four. You went from red to blue.
I did. I decided to change that up a little bit and see what it looked like.
I thought so too. I was wondering. Yep. I was wondering if we were going to come out of that. I was like, oh man, I don't know. This don't look good. You can be the Fantastic One, and then there was one.
Fantastic One.
Be the Sal solo show.
The Sal solo show.
One. Yeah.
Well, folks, we are two people short. Dan is out on a much earned vacation. What's that? Sal's what? What was that, Gary?
Sal's killed everyone until he finally gets what he wants. You've killed everyone, and you finally get what you want. Your own solo show for the entire thing. You don't have to deal with any clowns. You control the horizontal. You control the vertical. It's all about Sal. I hear you.
That is right, ladies and gentlemen. You might see a picture of Dan Kelly slabbed in the background. That's because he has been slabbed.
He's been slabbed.
He's been slabbed.
I wonder. I was gonna say it sounds like slimed, like Ghostbusters.
Yeah, like slime with Ghostbusters. Right. And yes, Bougie, I have left the red planet for the blue one. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are too short, so it's going to be just Gary and I covering the Fantastic Four, which is okay because that means we get to expand on topics. We get to talk a little bit more, and if you guys got questions or something you want to shoot in the chat, do it. Just be patient with me because I am also running the chat as well as all the graphics tonight, so be patient. I will get to your comment. All right, so the Fantastic Four. I shall kick off the intro, and there it is. All right, because Dan actually gave me the intro, so I'm going to read this right from what he sent me. So, Fantastic Four. Their first appearance was, of course, Fantastic Four #1. Came out in November of 1961. Created by Stan Lee and Jack Kirby. The origin is Reed Richards and his best friend Ben Grimm and his girlfriend Sue Storm. That's Reed's girlfriend, not Ben's girlfriend. And her brother Johnny Storm were on an experimental space flight where their ship was bombarded with cosmic rays, giving them superpowers. In the aftermath of the accident, they decided to reign together as a superhero team, the Fantastic Four. They're adventurers and explorers. They have just as much as they are superheroes. The introduction of the Fantastic Four ushered in the Marvel era and style of producing books known as the Marvel Method. I believe they're also called the first family of Marvel as well.
Yep.
It moved away from the traditional comic book tropes by presenting the characters as fully developed people with range of emotions instead of the typical superhero archetype. As for their power set, it's pretty simple. Reed Richards, Mr. Fantastic, is the genius leader of the group with the ability to stretch his body to extreme length and shapes. Ben Grimm, the Thing. Now, I got a question about this, Uncle Gary, but I'll read what he says here first. Has his body covered in orange rock that gives him super strength and invulnerability. Sue Storm, Visible Woman, has the ability to turn invisible as well as create invisible force shields. Johnny Storm, the Human Torch, can create and control flames that he can fire as blasts as well as cover his body and fly. So let me ask you this, Uncle Gary. I was talking to Dan earlier with this week when he sent me this. I thought his body was transmuted into the rock and there was not like regular skin underneath, but he was talking about a fight that he had with Wolverine where Wolverine actually clawed enough of his face to see tissue and muscle. So is it true? Is his body just covered with rock, or did it really transmute into rock? Is it like a second skin type situation that grows out and hardens out like a rock, piece of granite or something like that? What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was like a outer shell. Is what I thought.
An outer shell. Okay.
Well, I thought it was like an outer shell that there is, that he's not rock all the way through, but I thought it was like all his epidermis was shell. And I think when he got cut by Wolverine, I think that probably brought that to light. But maybe different creators have different ways to go about that.
Right. I remember the first Fantastic Four movie. It almost portrayed him as being solid rock all the way through, because you could with the X-ray machine, you could see like his heart was
Well,
made of, you know, looked like a beating heart rock of rock, But I believe you are correct, though. I believe that it's like almost like a second skin. It grows outside of his skin and like hardens to a granite type of rock, making him very invulnerable and strong as well. So, all right. Thank you, Dan, for that. I hope I covered it pretty good for you. But let's go ahead and move on to our segment of what works best. And Uncle Gary, you got the floor. Tell us what works best for you.
what works best with the Fantastic Four for me is first just a brief. Since we have some extra time, let's talk about the history. The Fantastic Four.
Yeah, do it.
Without them, there is no Marvel Universe as we know it. So,
Absolutely, 100%.
so Stan Lee was getting ready to leave Marvel. Well, first I'll go back. Even before the Fantastic Four, without them, there is no Marvel Universe. But let me go a little further back. Without the Justice League of America,
Yeah, that's true. This is true.
there may be no Marvel Universe because
You're welcome, Bougie.
in the Brave and the Bold, I didn't read. What did he say? Something.
Oh, he said thank you for that. He's been wondering for the past 40 plus years.
Gotcha. In the Brave and the Bold 28 first appearance of the Justice League 28, 29, 30, huge success where they relaunch. Basically, lineup never changes, can be repetitive. I agree. So the Justice League is a huge hit. It gets its own first issue, selling out. The publisher of Marvel, Martin Goodman, publisher of DC, Leibowitz, are out supposedly playing golf. And I hope this is one of those great legends. I hope is true. They're playing golf, and Leibowitz is bragging about the sales of the Justice League of America to Goodman. Goodman goes back to his editor, Stan Lee, and says, Stan, we need some kind of superhero team. At that time, Stan was getting ready to get out of comics because, Marvel had gone through its Atlas phase and then was slowly transitioning to a new company name, still owned by Goodman, being published by Goodman, but they were, they were in the middle of another transition, and he was ready to leave. He was dissatisfied, and the legend is that his wife says, well, why don't you write a book the way you want to write a book and then leave? So he writes Fantastic Four, and then it becomes a hit. And so this gets into what I like about them. What I like about them is they're not just the superhero team. They're family. They are family. And like every family, they bicker, they squabble, they got problems with one another. They don't always get along, but they are family and they stand together as one. And I love that on the team. They live together, they work together, and it is just, they are a unit. And that's when they work best, when they rely on those familial bonds, and that they are, they are a tight, cohesive unit. And, the love that underlies what they do, will never be, can never be replicated, by any other team, because no other team has that bond and has that tightness. So they're the best. I think they're at their best when they're working as a family, squabbles and all, for the betterment of humanity. So that's where I think they shine.
All right, I got to agree with that 100% because I actually have that in my notes as well. But I also like it when they were first off doing like the cosmic adventures. They're working together doing the cosmic adventures, like the early stuff, early space race stuff, because in that time frame, we had the Cold War with Russia. We were trying to get to space first. Space was an unknown. I think Green Lantern was coming out at the same time, around that same time as well.
59. Hal Jordan was 1959.
1959, so very close. So you
2
had
years
that.
Earlier. Yeah.
You had that mystery or that aura of space that was unknown, and basically an open canvas for them to write anything. So they were, they did a lot of cosmic adventures and cosmic beings. They brought a lot of that lore to Marvel, and I think they work best working out, like you said, as a family, as a team. And I think to break it down individually, I love it when Reed Richards is just being the genius intellect. Like he's like, I could just whip this together, I whip this together, and they're like, what the hell did you just say? And and all of a sudden he's got that fixed, or he's got the thing that he needs because he thought of it right away and was able to throw it together, with a box of scraps,
Yep.
as you would, um, Invisible Woman, she in the earlier parts, I don't know if she was all that. She seemed more like a damsel in distress to me, but I do like her as a
She was
character. Yeah,
in the beginning. Yeah.
but then through the years, she became a more powerful and female role model, or leader, and that really plays into her. I think where her wheelhouse. She is an excellent leader. She is just a powerful role model for young girls as well. So I think when she's being like that, she's awesome. I like Johnny when he's being a hothead. There's no other way to describe it. When he's being a hothead, he's flying off the fight, or he's got to do something. And it's like one of those things. He's got to stick up his ass. He's going to go do it right there, and he needs to do it ASAP. And I like that brash mentality or that brash attitude sometimes. And the thing,
Mm-hmm.
when he's clobbering, ladies and gentlemen, when he is in a full-on clobber mode, and he's like yelling, "It's clobbering time!" He's got the thick. Whenever I hear his voice, it's the New York accent. It's the thick New York
Yep.
accent. I love it, and that's where I think he works best as well. So, yep. So there you go with that. I do,
and that was Kirby's alter ego.
yeah, that was Kirby's alter ego. Yes, it was. Yes, it was. I like the fact. I'm going to stretch this a little bit before we jump into the next segment. The Fantastic Four brought a lot of Marvel lore. I believe they brought in like the Celestials. They brought in Galactus. They brought in a lot of things that has now like spun off onto its own, and sometimes own series as well. And I like that because everything kind of emanated from them. I think it really
Inhumans, Galactus, Silver Surfer.
Yep.
All these things came from
right.
Doom.
Yeah, and Doctor Doom. Yep. Well, yeah, we'll be talking about him later because I got him in some of my stories as well. So,
yeah,
absolutely, Doom was like their arch enemy. They're the ones that were, he was going to face off with all the time. And him and Reed had that, that rivalry in college. Trying to be the better, trying to be the smartest, trying to be the best. And of course, Doom has that accident where it scars his face, and then he has to go throw on a flaming hot mask to cover it, which doesn't help. And ladies and gentlemen, use a little scar cream. That would have solved wonders. That would have solved wonders. But this is not the Doctor Doom episode, but I'm sure we'll be touching on him much later. All right, so we're gonna jump into badass moments. Let's jump into badass moments, Gary. Do you want to do one? You want to do one at a time, badass moments?
Yeah. Let's go. Let's go. Yeah, let's alternate.
All right, let's alternate. You may go first.
Okay, for the first one, I'm just gonna do what I think is it's a generic one, but the fact that I already touched on it is that when they've got their back against the wall, they're family. They're not a team; they're a family. And when you fight one of them, you fighting them all. In a current issue, it's kind of silly, but in the current run of FF right now, they're living at Ben's Aunt Petunia's ranch in Arizona, and Johnny and Ben get a job at a local supermarket. Okay.
Oh yeah. Go ahead. FF is also great for Lee and Kirby to create whatever new character or ideas they wanted, as opposed to each character debuting their own stories to create first kitchen sink universe. That is a perfect example of it.
Yep. Very good. Absolutely. So Ben and Johnny get jobs at a local grocery store, and of course they're in competition with one another to win Employee of the Month. And they are they're trying to be the best checkout person, this and that. And they're a heated rivalry. They're up each other's ass about it. But a reporter comes in to do a story about Johnny, and Ben gets the idea that the reporter is going to do a hit job on Johnny. Oh, Ben's not having it. Ben threatens the hell out of the dude and scares him and intimidates him and told him, it says all these great things about Johnny. So, I love how Ben and Johnny are always at each other's throat, but you better not mess with Johnny. Yeah, Ben will get you, and Johnny loves Ben like that too. So I love the fact, I think it's pretty badass that when you take on one of them, you take on them all, because they are family and blood. Blood is thick with them, and they will not, they will not they will not back down. That they fight as one. So I think that's pretty badass.
I totally agree with that. Totally agree with that. And that little story with the diner, that was just great.
Wasn't
But
that great?
yeah, that was great. But you called it right. They're at each other's throats constantly, but they're also at each other's back. They
Yes.
got each other's back constantly. You know, so yes, very good. All right, so I've got two Invisible Woman moments that are pretty badass. Um, and let's see, the miniseries Deadpool kills the Marvel universe. Deadpool, of course, took on and killed them all, much like the book suggests. But in issue number one, he quickly learns you don't mess with the Invisible Woman, as she used her powers to actually squish his head like a zit, and you see it pop like that.
Wow.
It's like, I'm
Wow.
like, okay, score one for the Invisible Woman on that one. So, and much a similar Invisible Woman badass moment. Wolverine was attacking, and she actually, what she did, she created two force fields inside his lungs, and then he couldn't breathe, and he's starting to like choke down, and he couldn't breathe. He wasn't sure what's going on, and of course, she kind of, she's invisible, but all you can see is her or hear is her voice, and she's like, I just put two force fields in your lungs, and she goes, "Do you want me to continue? How about your retinas?" And she turns his retinas invisible, so now he can't even see anything as well, and it's like, I'm like, oh, this is getting like next level shit with this, because this reminded me when you remember when Iceman got his powers jacked by Loki and all of a sudden became an
Right.
Omega level. Not
Yep.
not that her powers got jacked, but he was able to use his powers in different ways, that you wouldn't think of earlier. This is ways I wouldn't think of Invisible Woman using her powers, and that is just amazing. She could have crippled Wolverine within like seconds, and totally subdued them, because he couldn't do anything without air in his lungs. He couldn't see anything, so he was completely out of action because of that. So that's what I got for that one. So go ahead with your next one.
Yeah, she's a character that in the first 100 issues or so, she was usually kidnapped or
Yeah,
whatever. But
yeah, by Namor or
I,
something.
I, I think in FF5 and by Doom,
Yeah, yep,
FF5, I think she ends up saving the FF when she's
yep,
kidnapped, but saved them.
yep.
And then
Hey,
in
Liz,
FF,
good to join us. Thank you for
hey
joining.
Liz, and then in FF, like in the 80s somewhere, she was on maternity leave, and Crystal was taking her place, and Doom was going to destroy a whole town, and she saved the whole town with a force field, and they didn't know she was back. She was in the game, and she saved the whole town. So she, as more creative, writers have come on and they've gotten more creative with what she should be able to do with her powers. She has become quite a powerful character. So
Yes,
in her own
yes.
right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to mention for a badass moment in FF 587, and this is Hickman wrote this. Okay.
Yes, yes, go for it, because I'll add on to this. But here we go. I hope the upcoming movie suits or Chris
Yep.
Visible's weapons. Yeah, that would be logical to
Yep.
do that. Mm-hmm.
Sure
That's
would
awesome.
be.
Yeah.
Johnny sacrifices himself
Mm-hmm.
to save the Earth from an annihilation wave coming from the negative zone with Annihilus, with just more troops than the eye could see. And Ben would naturally be the one to do it, but Ben was in human form at that point, and he was going to stay there with a he had weapons, and he was going to stay there and hold the line, and he told Johnny and the other the kids, Franklin and Blair, to get out of the way, and Johnny tricked him and pushed him back through the portal and then sealed it behind him. And Johnny said, "I'm not letting you sacrifice yourself like that." And of course, right after he seals it, Ben starts to revert back from human to the Thing, and
Yep.
Johnny's just like, he says, "I'm no more." He says, "I'm just as sad about this as you are." But Johnny sacrifices himself,
Yeah.
and takes on the wave, seals himself inside where they're not going to be able to come through the negative zone and come into Earth, and he dies. Johnny dies. Of course, being comics, they find a way to. Actually, Annihilus is the one that resurrected him, but he finds a way to bring him back. But that's just the tragic, especially the tragedy of Ben turning.
Yeah.
That he turns back to the Thing, and the Thing might have been able to survive that, where the Torch,
Yeah.
was overwhelmed there. But just the sacrifice that Johnny was not going to, again, that love that Johnny was not going to let Ben sacrifice himself.
Right.
And, and he pushes him back through. And the fact that Ben was willing to sacrifice himself in human form.
Yeah.
He didn't know he was going to switch back right then. He didn't know when the switch was going to happen.
Right.
And he was willing to sacrifice himself. And he told Johnny, I just had the greatest week of my life, to be back as a man again, and I wouldn't trade it for nothing. And I do this gladly. So,
Yeah.
that was just badass sacrifice. And here, both of them were willing to lay down their lives for the family, for the planet. So, yeah, the negative zone is so cool. Again, that cosmic,
Again,
that cosmic
something else that the team brought to lore, the negative zone.
Yep. The negative zone, absolutely. So, but that's my second bad moment. Johnny sacrificing himself.
All right, Bushi's got a question here. Exactly how strong is the Thing?
Okay, so the Thing on a power level, he's not as strong as he's not as strong as the Hulk, but one of the badass moments, he does beat the Hulk. The Hulk is stronger in pure power. Thor is stronger in pure power. Wonder Man might even be a little stronger in pure power, but the Thing is a brawler that does not go down. He and the Hulk have gone toe to toe on numerous occasions, and he does not, the Thing does not bow down, and he does not give up, and he doesn't stop. You got to knock his ass out. So he just keeps on coming. He's a tank, and he doesn't stop. But he is he's one of the Marvel heavyweights, though. That's for sure now. But I would say you're going Hulk, Thor, maybe Wonder Man and the Thing are right, and Namor are kind of right in the same area as far as strength is where I would put those guys. But they're a notch below the Hulk and Thor.
I agree with that. All right, so for my badass moment, I was going to use that one where Johnny sacrifices himself. So I only want to add one thing, and if I remember this right, this is speaks to the testament of their love and commitment for each other. The end of that, the Thing was actually punching or raging on the Hulk. Okay, he was punching him because he was mad at himself. He was mad at the situation. He was mad at everything, and the Hulk realizes this and just stood there and just took every blow. It just took everything until the Thing wore out. Until he wore out and just broke down and started crying.
And the Hulk embraced him.
Right.
Thor was also in that battle too.
Yes, he was. He was.
But yeah, the Hulk just took it, and he just took it and let Ben lash out, and then, like you said, he punched himself out. Again, I think that was in FF 588, the issue after that, and it was
588. Yep.
Such a poignant moment, and he held it. That's also where they had that. I'd read this during a Spider-Man badass moment where he talks with Franklin, and Franklin thinks he could have stopped it and he could have saved his Uncle Johnny.
Yeah.
And
Spider-Man
and Peter tells him about how he knows he could have stopped the guy that killed his Uncle Ben. And it was that's some of the most beautiful writing I've ever read in a comic, and it's just so sweet and kind and wonderful, that conversation between Spidey and between Franklin, So
that was also in issue 588. So, yes. All right, Sono the writer has joined us. Hey, Sonny, and he said he thought I was saying the raging alcoholic. Nope, he's not a raging alcoholic at all. He was just raging on the Hulk because he was just letting out his frustrations. All right, so
thanks for joining us, Sonny.
Yep, thanks for joining us, buddy. So let me throw in my other badass moment. What?
Let me ask this. I don't think we mentioned it, but yesterday, one of the big topics of the show was, I don't know how we got on this topic, but was what comic characters take the nastiest dumps. And the Hulk was way up there.
That's right. I remember that.
The Blob was mentioned. I don't think we mentioned the Thing. That can't be good. The Thing has got to be blowing up bathrooms. And I think Booge had the winning answer with Solomon Grundy.
Solomon Grundy, yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So the wonderful things we talk about here on the, and it's funny, everybody on the chat had an answer to that one. Everybody
yeah.
wanted to
That's
talk about that. It takes the nastiest dumps. And on that line, I just read an article today about an unfortunate incident on an airplane with Andre the Giant.
oh gosh.
Had to take a dump on an airplane that blew up the whole plane mid-flight, and people were crying, people were in tears, people were gagging.
How's he even fit in the bathroom? How's he fit? He
Yeah,
wouldn't even
well,
fit in
that's
those
exactly
bathrooms.
what came up. Somebody asked that too, and Brutus the Barber Beefcake was saying, his quotes were that Andre usually took great pains to try to use the restroom before the plane would take off, but something happened on that trip where he couldn't. He had to use the bathroom there, and it said it was apocalyptic. And Brutus said Andre would eat 20 pounds of food, so when he
Oh,
took a dump, it was 20 pounds. So
wow.
there you go. Everybody needed to hear this.
Oh,
Yeah. So
ouch. Whew.
there you go. We
All
give
right.
you content nobody else is going to give you.
That's right, ladies and gentlemen. You get this content here only on the Codex Station. All right. So let me throw in my
Yeah.
other badass moment here.
Well, hey, I was just talking about badass moments.
Yeah, that was definitely on the badass side.
Yep.
All right. So they rebuild the multiverse. Reed and Franklin, and
Yep.
they rebuild the multiverse after 2015 Secret Wars. Reed just starts creating the multiverse again, and having Franklin, and like you can see them throwing universes out into the void as they're recreating the universe, or the multiverse, I should say. Let me see if I have anything else in my notes for that. He saved and rebuilt the entire multiverse when the multiverse was destroyed. Only Battleworld was inhabitable. Um, nope, that's it. Pretty much it. That was the badass moment of them just recreating the whole multiverse. I thought I had something else in there, but I did not. But yeah, just the fact that they could recreate the whole multiverse, that's pretty epic right there.
That's badass.
That
That's
is.
badass.
Do you have any more? Because that was my last one.
Yep. This one I think is probably
Right.
I think the one I like the best. So in FF50, staring down the barrel of Galactus coming to eat the planet, Reed, with the Watcher's intervention,
Yeah.
Johnny steals the ultimate nullifier from Galactus, gets it to Reed. Reed figures out how to operate it, and Reed is willing to use it against Galactus, even though it's going to wipe out everything, but will also wipe out Galactus. So
Yeah.
Reed, they stole the biggest, baddest dude on the block. They took his gun,
Yeah.
and they used his gun against him, or were prepared to use his gun against him, and they made the biggest, baddest planet eater back down. So I guess he realized that Reed was not bluffing, that he would use that nullifier to wipe him out before he could eat the planet. So, that he was willing to go down that, sacrifice and kill everything right then and there to stop Galactus. So, with using his own weapon against him, I think that is as badass as it gets.
That is so true. The fact that he, not only did they steal it from him, but they figure out how to use the damn thing against him.
Yep.
That's his genius intellect right there.
The ultimate nullifier. What a MacGuffin, right?
What I know. What a MacGuffin that is. Jeez.
Yep.
All right. Let me see. Bushi's got something here. You're gonna love this one, Gary.
All right. Yeah. Did you say a wicked Wookie?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. It looks like a wicked Wookie. Yeah. Oh yeah. Jabba the Hutt. That's got to be bad. That's got to be bad, Boosh. So,
that's up there. That's in the top.
I'm with you.
That's in the top 10.
That and being like he's a slug, it's slimy too.
Okay, we're gonna move past the Dookie part now. We're gonna move on. Hey, all right. So we've talked about 3 badass moments and stuff that we've liked. let's go now and talk about stuff that we don't like. So, Gary, go ahead, take this one. Tell us what you don't like.
I don't like that Sue is used too much as a hostage and used too much as a damsel in
Especially in the early
distress
years. Yeah.
in the early years. But it was part of the
But that
times,
was,
right? It was part
yeah,
of,
I was going to say that was part of the times for whatever.
yeah. So I mean, the fact that in the first 100 issues or so, she had a couple moments where she shined and saved the team, but it was just too much of a trope that she was getting captured. Same with the Avengers. The Wasp was getting captured all the time.
Right.
So they did that to many of the female characters of the time. So I'm really happy that since then they have turned. Sue has gotten the respect that she deserves, and I like where she took where she said, "I'm not the Invisible Girl. I'm the Invisible Woman."
Woman. Yeah.
Where she claimed that, but that I think that's where and I don't like it when they deviate too much from the lineup, right? So occasionally when one of them's gone,
Yeah.
it's okay. I think it's kind of okay to fill in that fourth spot. But when they had Ghost Rider and Wolverine and who else was in that crazy group for a while? Yeah.
Hulk was in
Herbie.
it. Ghost.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Hulk.
Herbie. Yeah. I
That
always
was
hated
a
it.
little too silly, and it
Yeah.
wasn't meant to be long term. And I think one time Luke Cage was involved. She-Hulk
Yep.
was a member, but that rotating forth. Sheriff Ventura took over the Thing spot for a while, and that was
Right.
fine. So when one person comes in to replace a member, I'm good with that, but no more than one. Crystal
Right.
coming in for Sue.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. So I have that exact same thing, Gary. I said I don't like when they break up the team. I don't mind subs when they substitute
right,
in and out characters, like you said, She-Hulk, Crystal, or what have you.
right,
When they sub in one or two, that's fine. But I don't like it when they break up, they change the whole lineup completely. Um,
yeah,
I don't like that. It's great. You need to pull in somebody to help you with a certain situation.
yeah.
Fantastic. But yeah, I don't like when they do the whole redo lineup type of stuff. And this happens later on. One more thing I wanted to agree with you on was the trope with Sue Storm being the damsel in distress. I never liked that situation. I really
Yeah.
don't. But I'm glad
No.
they have moved on from that and now made her more powerful leader, role model type of person. So yes, definitely on that.
They had a
Um,
miniseries, an Invisible Girl miniseries, not long ago, where they had her as like an agent of Shield, which was really good.
yeah,
I really loved that series. I mean, of course, she's going to be the best espionage agent you have. You
yeah,
know,
yeah.
you know, absolutely.
Right, right. All right. So one thing I have here is this happens later on down the road, but Reed Richards gets portrayed as like an ass, and too good, too smart for his britches. I never liked that about him. Like Tony Stark, I could see that because of his flamboyance and his attitude. But for him, he was always about seeking the truth. Like there's a there's a problem here. I'm going to resolve it. Here we go. This is what we're going to do. That type of situation. And he could think of how to fix it the best way possible. But down the road we have his alternate self being the leader, or not the leader. What is he called
The
in the
Maker,
Ultimate Universe? The
the
Maker.
Maker.
That's the Maker. Yeah, and I mean that works as an evil villain, but I never liked that transition of when he went. He went from being so smart that he's an asshole to everybody. Even Sue. And I don't like that. I never liked that. So if you could, make him a super genius, make him, like dumb to relationships, like he
Yeah.
forgot his anniversary. That's a typical man thing. That's fine.
Well,
That's part of the
right,
being
and
the
that's
super
that's
genius.
Reed. Reed, I don't mind the Reed that's so involved with his work that he's distracted and isn't paying attention to the little more human things that are going on around him.
Bingo.
And right, so that's fine, and that's part of I think that's part of the character that Reed gets so immersed in his work that he forgets about the
Real life.
right around real life, and that everyone else is not and that he's a little bit cold sometimes and
Yeah.
unfeeling because it's all about the science. So he needs to be reminded about his humanity, and Ben does that for him, and Sue does that. You know,
Yes.
that
Right.
they pull him back and remind him that he is a member of the human race, and that he
Yeah.
needs to take part. He needs to participate.
Right.
And the
Right.
children have done that. He's been, when as a father, he has been more involved with his children. I think he's a good father.
Right. Right. Okay. Dan's on vacation, but he's still in our chat, and he's got a comment for you, Gary. That's you're gonna love. Here it
Okay,
comes.
here we go. If it's is this dork made of orange rocks like the best for well, so if he got circumcised as an adult, you need a jackhammer to do that. That's for sure. And so maybe when you take off that outer layer, because listen, I don't know what Alicia's getting, but it's probably good that she can't see it.
What was it that Johnny Storm said in the first Fantastic Four movie? She said, "Like I didn't want my sister-in-law be killed by a rock slide."
Yeah.
Hey, Richard's in our chat tonight. Hey, Richard, how you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Rich?
All right. So let's go ahead and jump to top covers. But let me go ahead and I will show. Let's go with Dan's first, and I'll show
Yes,
Jamie's.
he's in the chat. Let's show Dan's covers.
Let's
see what
go
Dan
Dan's covers. Let's see if I can find Dan's covers easy. There we are. All right, Dan. Here's your covers coming up. Oh, he's got the
very good.
Yep, the Treasury Edition, which I got too. That's awesome.
That Treasury Edition was my cover of the day.
Yep.
For the character of the day, and It was my fourth cover, so it was my last cover that got cut. So I decided to use it. So yeah. I'm glad to see it represented here.
Absolutely, and I just picked up that book too for.
I know you did. So. That's a Romita. That is a John Romita cover. John Romita Sr.
All right. So next up, he's got Fantastic Four #3, the greatest comic magazine in the world. Well, so we got the Fantastic car. They got the new costumes. We got the torch flying around the Fantastic car too. Nice.
That's the first uniform, the first Fantastic car. Yep. And so it's also the first. That's when the Marvel. The only two Marvel books that are 10 centers are FF 1 and 2.
Oh.
Yep. FF 1 and 2 are the only truly Marvel 10 centers.
Okay. Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool. Also, what I like about this is see the detail in the background of like the people looking and staring and pointing, and you got the thing right there, like he's like yelling at Johnny about something, like, "Oh yeah, hothead, what are you doing so close to the
show
car?"
off.
Show off.
You show off. Yeah. And I love the flying bathtub.
The flying bathtub is awesome. It's only got 2 levers. That's how awesome it is.
Well, that's the Reed's design genius.
That's right.
Simplicity.
All right, for his last cover, he's got Fantastic Four #236.
John Byrne
anniversary. Yeah.
John Byrne.
Yep. That's some good stuff there. It looks like they got tons of characters on that one.
Yeah, they do. Look at all those characters they have on there. Absolutely. Good stuff by Mr. Byrne.
Yep.
Good picks, man.
Yep, good picks. All right, so let's jump over to Jamie's. He went Fantastic Four #1 and the #236.
He did. So with the original. So some more Kirby action. There's that 10 cents.
Yeah.
Got Kirby. Then so 2 Kirbys and a Byrne for Jamie.
Yep.
So again, the anniversary issue that we saw with Dan, and then the coming of Galactus. So the first appearance of Galactus and the Surfer, and I believe the Watcher too.
Yep.
So So that's just a really cool cover. I like the dread, the doom in everybody's face of what might be coming. You know, I like the floating heads in the cover box.
Yep. Bougie says classic covers. Yep. Yes, indeed. I actually think the Watcher's like, it looks like the Watcher's like starting to throw down to do some type of dance move. If you ask me, he's like,
yeah. Well, it's the Doomsday Dance because you're dying.
The Doomsday Dance. I saw what you did there.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Gary, let's go ahead and check out your books, your covers.
All right.
Here we go. All right. Oh, good ones. I love that Doom.
Oh, yes. So on the right, so you saw 48. Here's 49, which is the first Galactus cover. You got the Surfer in there. You got the FF hauling ass because they They're a little bit overwhelmed right there. And 50 is a great cover too. It's a great Silver Surfer cover. But
Yep.
that, just part of that great epic trilogy. And then the one in the center is John Byrne, and that's Doom, large and in charge. I just
Love
love
it.
that cover.
It looks like they're in
And
Latveria too.
yes, they are. And he says, "This land is mine." So I just think that is that is just a great classic Doom cover. So
It
I was
is.
happy to put that there. And then the last is an alternate cover. So the
Oh yeah.
is an Alex Ross cover, and it's FF number 1, volume 6, cover M. Cover M. So it was a little bit more limited of a cover. I own all 3 of those covers there. So usually I like to do covers I own. For this show, sometimes I will do covers I don't have, especially when we're doing older characters. But that Ross cover I did buy. It was like a 1 in 25 or 1 in 50. I just love that. I love Johnny lighting it up at the bottom, lighting up the Fantastic Four, and Ross gets it when he the retro feel of the characters' faces,
Yeah.
and it's just fantastic, as
Got
it should be. See
pun
what I did there?
intended. Yeah, I
Yep,
see what you did there.
absolutely.
Pun intended, baby. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
those covers are fantastic, and they're for you.
Yes. Boosh
Yeah.
is like, damn, all those covers are pretty cool too.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
absolutely.
Snoop chimes in with Doom is one of my favorite villains. Yep, he is for
Yes,
me too. I gotta say
same
that.
here. We need to have
All
a
right.
great version of them on the screen, and hopefully that's what they're bringing us now.
Yep. All right. Well, hopefully my covers are a hit as well. Here we go.
Oh, very
So,
good. You gave us some variety. I do like
I
that
did.
subby cover. Yep.
Yep. So that over on the far left there, it's number 509 from Volume 3, I believe. The penciler was Wendigo? No, I was going to say Wendigo.
Kessel, isn't it?
No, it's Kessel for the cover inker. And the colors was Eisenov.
Okay.
So I like that because they're like charging into the scene. You got, of course, Ben leading the charge. Johnny's right behind him, and you got Sue and Reed following up. And it just looks like a good action figure or action pose for me. Number 103. This is Verporten and Ramada Senior did the inking and penciling for this. I love this one. They're jumping on a fantastic car. Reed's punching them. Torch is firing at him, and Thing is just jumping right in there, screaming, "It's clobbering time!"
So you got a classic cover with its clobbering time on it. I want to say Stan and Jack stopped collaborating on FF 102, so this might have been the first issue where Jack was gone and Stan was still the writer for a little bit longer, but Jack was gone. I believe 102 ended them. Also, when we talked about the things the FF has given us, it was FF4 that reintroduced Submariner.
Yeah, that's true.
Where Johnny found him as a bum and burned off the long beard he had, and he had amnesia. So it was the reintroduction. So think FF4 brought back Submariner. Avengers 4 brought back Cap.
Yeah.
So a little bit of symmetry there.
Yep.
So.
Yep. And for my last cover, I got Fantastic Four 16. This is of course, a Jack Kirby and Ayers cover, but it's great. I love the Fantastic Four there in the palm of Doom's hand, and of course they've got a micro magnifying glass for the Ant-Man showing up there, and it's the return of Doctor Doom. Gotta love that. Gotta love that.
And Doom so many times on covers is so large.
Yeah.
He's so much larger than life.
Yep. So Joe, did Stan and Jack ever work stuff out? That is the
not
question
really.
We'll never know. Yeah.
Not really. They were still kind of crusty at the end. Joe, if you've ever read Mr. Miracle, when Jack went to DC, created a character in Mr. Miracle called Funky Flashman. Funky Flashman is Stan Lee, and Funky Flashman is a PR huckster, and it was definitely not a compliment to Stan. And in the first issue, where they introduce So this is kind of topical because of the Roy Thomas controversy with Deadpool that's come
Yep.
up, where
Yep.
he wanted more credit than some feel he deserves because he's the editor of the book of the or not of Dead of the Wolverine at the time when Wolverine was
Right.
created. Well,
Right.
Roy Thomas was Jack considered him Stan's flunky, and so when he created Funky Flashman, he also created a character called House Roy, and House Roy was Funky Flashman's toady, and in Mister Miracle, I believe it was 4. Funky Flashman sacrificed House Roy to get away, and House Roy was killed. so yeah, Jack had some issues. Jack had a few issues, and unfortunately, yeah, yeah. So yeah, Joe, yeah, Mr. Miracle, Funky Flashman, House Roy, and when we went to Charlotte and I met Roy Thomas, so look, I have a lot of respect because he's done a lot of great work in comics. He's a huge fan of the Justice Society, and I had some JSA stuff I wanted him to sign, but I talked to my buddies. I said, would you dare me? Well, I said, should I get a Mr. Miracle 4 and ask him to sign that? That would just been wrong on so many levels. But now when I think he's kind of acting like a bit of an ass with this, with this credit stuff,
Yeah.
maybe I should have, but I just thought that was funny. But he was it was nice to meet him. It was nice to give a signature, and he is important. But hey, that's what we do, man.
Hey,
We drop
thanks,
the
Bougie.
info.
We're
And
trying to.
I wonder if Jack would have been as celebrated as much as Stan was, if he had lived longer and had been there for the advent of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, because
Yeah.
Stan was given a lot of love. And I'd have to think that if Jack had stood up and come out to the premieres and stuff, that people would have given him the love that he deserves, because he is almost as instrumental as Stan in creating the Marvel Universe.
Yeah. Absolutely.
So
Makes
so you got to give.
Makes you wonder if
Yeah,
he was around, maybe they would have worked things out.
Well, you would hope they would. It was still kind of crusty toward the end. He still believed Stan took a little too much credit. Also, a problem with them was Kirby's original art. Marvel had a ton of original art by Kirby, and he had to go to court to get it returned. And when he got it returned, he didn't get all what he was asking returned. And
Yeah.
Marvel used to give it away to people,
Right.
give them away or sell them or whatever. There are tales where Jack would go to a convention, and people selling original art would see Jack Kirby, and they take all the Kirby art and put it under the counter. And then when Jack would go by, they'd put it back up. So,
Wow.
that they had art they knew they weren't supposed to have, that it was Kirby's original stuff. DC used to always brag that they paid more money to Jack for creating Darkseid than Jack got paid for creating the majority of the Marvel Universe.
Wow.
So that was DC's dig. That was DC's dig at Marvel.
Is that true? Is that true, or is that just a rumor mill type of thing?
Well, evidently, when he came to DC, I mean, he was a big get for. Well, look, he had been at DC for years. I mean,
Right.
the whole origin of the Fantastic Four is very, very similar to the Challengers of the Unknown. This is a plane crash goes down, 4 survivors, 4 adventurers walk out, and they're living on borrowed time. They didn't have superpowers, but the premise was, the 4 of them walked away from a fatal crash for everybody else, and they're living on borrowed time. So, so Jack had a prolific career, and of course, Jack goes way back. Jack goes way back to the creation of course, of Captain America with Joe Simon. Simon and Kirby also created a whole genre of comics in the 50s, and that's the romance comic. They're the first ones to create the romance comics. I think it was it Young Romance? I can't remember the exact name, but they created, Roy did a lot for comics. I agree with you, Snoop. I think he's overstepped on this other thing, but
I hope so.
I hope they have to.
I hope so.
I hope they have to. But Stan, in the old days working for Timely, Goodman brought in Stan Lee, who was his nephew, and Simon and Kirby were doing ghost work on the side. So they're doing Captain America, right? They're also doing work for DC. They're also doing work for other studios. So they're doing work under an assumed name. And Goodman found out, and Simon and Kirby believed that it was Stan who ratted them out.
Oh
that,
God.
that they were doing the ghost work for for another company under assumed names. So there's always a little bit they always believed he was the boss's flunky. So yeah, I'm telling you, Challengers is a great concept and cool characters.
We'll get on that, Bougie. We'll have you in there.
Yeah, there you go. So, but back to the original question. I know we deviated, but you know what? We got time tonight to deviate. But Stan and
Yeah, all the
Jack,
time we want.
I think as time, and remember, Ditko also had a huge problem with Stan.
Yeah, that's true.
Ditko left Spider-Man at issue 38 and was gone because he didn't feel he was getting enough credit too. So, Stan, so I think Stan did overstep a bit, take a little too much credit, but the Marvel Universe would not be what it is without Stan and Jack, without a doubt. Without a doubt. Is it true?
I have no idea.
I don't know about that story. I do not know about that story. So,
Bougie, here's Bougie. Stan's a snitch.
Well,
rumor has it.
That is what Joe Simon and Jack Kirby believed. So I can only tell you what they believed was that Stan was the boss's snitch sitting in the office, and he would play a flute or something in the office that drove them absolutely crazy. So yeah, Ditko was sublime. So anyway, but I believe in the end, I think Stan wanted to make up with Jack a bit, and I think Jack kind of wasn't having it.
Yeah.
So,
sad.
There we go.
Yeah, Joe, we don't have an answer for you on that one, so we don't know. We're gonna let that one go because I'm
gonna say they didn't really work out all the differences. I think there was still some feelings there.
Probably so. All right, let's go ahead and jump to our next segment, which is must-read stories. And let's go ahead and start off with Dan's, like we did with top covers.
Ooh,
oh, look at that!
The thing. The thing came into view.
So we have Dan's The Coming of Galactus, The Trial of Reed Richards. Oh, that was a good story. And Fantastic Four Life Story. That's some good stuff.
Oh, that was very good.
For the story cards, I actually used each member of the team, which I thought was pretty cool. So let's go ahead and move to Jamie's now.
Look at you. That's very cool.
Yep. So Jamie has Behold Galactus, The Coming of Doctor Doom, that's a good story, and Unthinkable. Very cool.
Nice.
All right.
And Behold Galactus. Ooh, there we go.
Yeah,
Behold Galactus. I so when we're done showing I have that too, and I'll show you the Behold Galactus volume. It is Fantastic Four sized. Y'all have seen it. It was in the library.
Oh yeah, I remember. All right, Gary, let's see your stories right here. Look at that. You got this.
So here we go.
Fantastic.
Behold, there we go. Behold Galactus is it's a great collected edition of the a bunch of it has the early 48, 49, and 50 of FF, the classic stories of where you first introduce them. It's also got 74, 75, 6, and 7, which has more Galactus, more Silver Surfer. It's got 120 to 123 collected, and it's got 242 to 244, which were written by John Byrne and art by John Byrne. And they're fantastic stories. And so you are getting your Galactus on and your Silver Surfer on when you get to Behold Galactus. And wait till I show you the size of this book. It is Galactus size.
Oh,
so,
yeah, it is. It is. It'll destroy a planet for sure.
Absolutely. Fantastic Four 583 to 588. Written by Hickman, drawn by Epstein. This is an amazing story. This is a story
It
we
is.
reference where Johnny sacrifices himself, and you have those poignant moments after he's died where the team has to cope with his loss. And it is just, those are the occasions where reading a comic can bring a tear to your eye because
Yep.
it's so beautifully written and you're so invested in the characters. And it is just wonderful.
Yep.
So you can buy the original issues of 583 to 588, or you can get the trade paperback, and it's the Fantastic Four by Jonathan Hickman, and it's the fourth volume in that set.
Yes.
So, but all the Hickman books were really good, but this
Absolutely.
this is the pinnacle. So
Yep.
the other one I have, Fantastic Four Annual 2. So this is probably like 1963. This book
Yeah.
came out. Cool Doom cover on it. And this gives you two stories of Doom. This gives you his origin with him and Reed Richards, when they were young men and competing, and how he got, in his accident. And then it gives you, and
Hold
it
on.
gives you,
Hold on, Gary. I got to show you this
yep,
one from Joe.
okay.
The real Fantastic Four. It's the Codex team.
Oh,
God,
Joe,
100%, Joe.
Joe, man, you give us high praise, my friend. Thank you, Joe.
Thank you for
Um,
that.
so you get two great Doom stories in Fantastic Four Annual 2, and it's been it's been reprinted in a lot of the, there've been many reprints of the FF, the early ones. So, if you don't want to shell out for the original, you can buy one of the reprinted books. The Epic Collection has it, which is an affordable way to have it. Or if you want to buy a nicer volume, buy the Masterworks. And it's also hinted in there for the first time, the version of Doom that I think is really interesting. I think I talked about it on the podcast last night when we talked about Robert Downey Jr. playing Doom, was that behind the mask, we believe Doom to be horribly scarred. But in the FF Annual 2, they hinted at that Doom only might have had a small scar, but because his vanity is so much, he had to he had to wear a mask because he wasn't perfection anymore. That he wasn't the ideal of male perfection, in
Right.
his facial features anymore. I think that is much cooler that he only has a small scar because I think that just goes to the greater psychosis and
Yeah.
vanity of who Doom is. I love that idea. So we'll
Yeah.
see how they do that with Downey, whether he'll be heavily scarred or whether he'll be, a psycho that just has one scar and has ruined his life because of that.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Appreciate
you
a
should
good
know
comment here.
chicks.
Chick stick
Yep.
scars, huh?
Yeah, chicks dig scars.
So, yep. Bushi
Yep.
says Hickman did a good job. Actually, last time I read FF before by too long of a break. Yep,
He
indeed.
sure did. He
All
sure
right.
did.
Ready to see my stories then? They're very similar.
Yep. Let's see your stories, buddy.
All right, here we go.
All right.
So,
Oh, FF. Yep. 51, buddy. FF
yep,
51.
yep. So, yeah, I'll start with that one then. 51, this man, this monster. This is just, I believe this was the first Negative Zone appearance as well.
I
But,
believe so. Yes.
yep. So, there was a guy that was he was blaming Richards for thinking that he was uh, creating these inventions for money or for vanity, but not for like the greater good of humanity. So, he was actually developed a way to steal the thing's powers. And he eventually did it so much to where he looked like the thing. And he goes in there to, kill Reed Richards and ends up actually saving him because the Negative Zone had pulled Reed in to something to that matter. And he actually went in and got Reed out at the sacrifice of himself. But then, the thing was wandering around in human form for a while there, and he was all excited. And he runs off to Alicia, and as he's going to Alicia, he turns back into the thing just before getting to her apartment. Very sad, a very sad moment for him because then
Yep.
he just he left. He didn't go into her apartment or anything like that. But that was a good story with the whole you know showing the side
Great
of
cover
Richards,
too.
yeah, great cover. And, showing the side of
And
Reed that he's doing this for the greater good. He's not out there to make money, or anything like that on any of his inventions. So,
and it
and
also
we get,
showed the humanity of Ben.
yep, indeed, indeed. And we got the Negative Zone portal first appearance. So, I mean, that's pretty awesome. Uh, 3, we got
that
that
cover,
Fantastic Four.
those.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say about This Man, This Monster. It's just got such a great cover, and it's got that humanity that Ben is. This wonderful, this he's really this old wonderful soul trapped in that monster's body, and he's just I always love creatures like that, like Swamp Thing and Man Thing and Thing. That when you're and they all have thing in common. See, where they're trapped. A human is trapped within the monster's body, and I just love that tragic, that tragic character like that. But think about how vibrant this era of FF was. I think the Inhumans were introduced in, I believe, FF 45.
That sounds right.
Galactus, I mean, the Watcher, Galactus, the Silver Surfer in FF 48 through 50. 51, This Man, This Monster, this wonderful tale of humanity. And then 52, who's introduced in 52? Black Panther.
Black Panther. Couldn't get it out of my mouth there.
The Black Panther.
Yep.
The Black Panther is introduced in 52. So what a run, with from like 45 to 52. Look what you've introduced, to the comic book lore. So I mean, that is at the height of creativity, my man.
Yep.
So
all right. So also have the I'm not going to really talk about much of 3 because you pretty much summed it up. You really hit the nail on the head with that one. That's
for those that don't know, 3 is the title of that story by Hickman from FF 583 to 588.
That is correct. And there's a whole bunch of there's a whole bunch of like action going on. Reed's off saving another planet from Galactus. Invisible Woman is actually stopping a war between Atlantis and another ancient foe. And Ben and Johnny are left alone to fend off this invasion from Annihilus. And it's just there's so much going on with these 3 issues. It's just a well done story, and you can see. I want to say like the progression, like, oh my God, this is what's going to happen, because everybody was just so they're spread thin. They're spread thin, and they could not come back to help each other, type of situation, because everybody was off doing their thing to help somebody else. So
and Ben was in human form.
Yeah, and Ben was in human form and couldn't do anything. Yep. All right, so there's a lot in the chat, which we'll get to in a minute. The Peril and the Power. This was a pretty good one because Doom had come back. He's a powered up Doctor Doom. They're not doing well with the fight against him until Reed actually comes up with an anti-cosmic flying wing to actually start absorbing his power, and he launches it into space, and Doom follows it because he's draining his power. He's got to get to it, and it hits the barrier that Galactus had put around the Earth, and it seemingly destroys Doom. And then the board, of course, returns to the Silver Surfer, who was captured in Latveria at that time. So this is loosely based on that movie, the second movie of the Fantastic Four, which was the Rise of the Silver Surfer, where Doom teams cosmic energy from the board. So it's almost it's loosely pulled from there, but that was a great story in itself as well. All right, so we got some chat here. Let's see. Yep, Joe, he gave us the Future Foundation, definitely.
Yes.
And Mr. Keith said this is one of the best. It was one of the best FF stories. Absolutely. Snoop says even Frankenstein's monster. Yep, that's true. And here we go with another one from Joe. Okay, I'm going to call Frankenstein's monster just Frankenstein from now on. I'm taking it back. You do that, buddy. Do that. And then Bougie chimes in he goes, I'm with you, Gary. A good person trapped in a monster body can make good stories. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's just the tragedy of it, right? It's just that, I think it's just, they're such heroic characters.
Right. And absolutely, Joe, that is the finale because the Thing had to watch it all. He couldn't, It's not like it was like a solid door where he couldn't see. He could see through the window and what was happening. If I remember right.
Oh, yeah, Yeah, he's got tears.
Yep. All right. So those are my stories. I hope you like the boards I developed for those. Thanks
I
to
love
Jamie for
them. I
putting
love
the
that you did the
titles on
tour.
them.
And yeah,
Yep.
and I'm just going to show some things. So here we go. Here's
Do
an
it.
Epic
Do
Collection
it.
book
Yeah.
that's showing the FF, the Galactus, stuff. And this Epic Collection collects 33 through 51, so you get some really good stuff leading right into 52s where the Panther starts. But
Yep.
this is affordable. You can get this book. This is the Hickman one that has the story 3 in it. We've talked about so
yes.
much. So
Absolutely.
this is volume 4 of that, so you can get that.
Didn't Hickman also do some art on that as well?
Now that I don't know of. I don't know. I thought I knew Epstein did most of the art, but maybe Hickman did. I didn't know he was an artist at all, so that might have got by.
He did some. I don't know if he did that though.
Okay, in the, I guess this, I'm not sure what volume of FF this was, but this is the volume before the current volume, and the thing on his honeymoon is Ben, but has to turn back. Ben has to turn back into the thing to fight the Hulk, and this is so great. And he actually knocks the Hulk out. So I love this book, and it's in this trade. I believe this is this volume of FF number 11, number 12. It's number 12. So it's the 23rd. I think it's let's say 2013. So the volume of FF that started in 2013. I do like the current series too, but this was just great. Another recent book that's pretty cool that came out is this 4 by Alex Ross.
I love that.
And,
that looks pretty cool. That cover was awesome. Oh yeah, I remember these covers. I have these as well.
Yeah, so this is the great slipcase edition that they did, and this gives a lot of love to the Kirby and Stan feel, where Ross tailored his art to give you that. So I am. This was just a beautiful, beautiful love story, love letter to them.
Yep.
So I wanted to follow that. Now, the other thing that we had talked about was the Behold Galactus book. And this is not a book for the faint of heart. The Behold Galactus book is...
just so you know, Snoop, it is 583 to 588. Look at that. Look at that. It's huge. Move that thing out of the way.
Look at that.
You can get some muscles just than that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I can do my workout right here. See the inside.
How do you read that? Very carefully.
This isn't just a coffee table book.
Yep.
This is a whole damn.
I was gonna say it looked like Galactus with shorts on.
This is a lunch counter book.
Yeah.
You need a whole counter for this. So these are all these great early FF Galactus tales, and then we get into the John Byrne ones, which are just fantastic. So so this book, like I said, this book is amazing. Let me see. Oh,
nice.
There you go. There's great. So this book.
Tell me, you got any scribbles in that one?
No, I do not have scribbles in this one.
All right.
I tell you what, this would be hard to take. So here's let's do a size analysis. Here's a regular trade.
Leave it to Uncle Gary. Always want to compare size.
There you go. Here's a regular trade. And look, I'm holding it with one hand now. That's pretty heavy. So yeah, can't even get it in the frame. So Behold Galactus. Yeah, you can use it as a table. And here's the crazy thing. Anyone want to take a guess at what the retail price on this was? I can't remember what year it came out.
I want to say 300. I want to say 300.
300. Woo! Anybody in the chat want to take a guess at what this baby cost? On the back. Let's see.
Let's see if anybody comes through this.
Can you see the price here? Can you read? Can you read that?
Almost. It says go this way a little bit. 50 US. Okay, 50 US.
50.
Wow.
$50.
That's insane.
$50.
I would have picked that up for $50.
What? $50 in it, you know, in the front cover and the back cover, Alex Ross, you know,
Oh yeah.
recreating, you know, that's recreating one my cover. That's recreating one
Yeah.
of the covers I picked, the Stan
Yep.
and Jack 49. So
Yep.
$50. It blows my mind that this giant goodness that, you know, could be a workout tool was only 50
Look at you, you're
frickin'
getting jacked already.
bucks,
Huh?
baby.
Work the
Yeah,
triceps,
getting
baby.
jacked.
Work the
Woo!
triceps.
I
Feel the
told you,
work.
baby. Comic books make you strong, baby. Woo!
That's awesome. I can't believe I remember seeing that. But that's you could literally kill an
This
intruder
is
with
a
that.
highlight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
You could
absolutely.
kill.
This is a highlight of my collection. This is a fantastic book, and it's for you.
All right. Very cool. Very cool. So I guess this brings us then to our best writer and best artist. Who do you got, Uncle Gary? Who do you got? I have a crap ton of choices.
Well, listen, there are a lot of choices.
Yeah.
And, you know, when it comes down to things like this, I'm always going to go on the side of history and have to acknowledge the history of this. So I have to say Stan and Jack because of
Yep.
what they created, that this series begat the Marvel Universe. So deference has to be given. And that's not to say that John Byrne's run wasn't great,
Yeah.
that, you know, that Roy Thomas didn't write some great stories for them. And John Byrne is probably my second favorite run of FF. That Hickman didn't do a great job because Hickman did, but I believe in paying respect to the history of the medium and to the guys that created the modern, you know, the Marvel universe as we know it would not exist if it were not for Stan and Jack putting out Fantastic Four and going from there. And you know, I talked briefly on that creativity from, you know, from issue like 45 to 52, Inhumans, Galactus, The Watcher, Silver Surfer, you
So
know,
much lore.
yeah, Silver Surfer, the Black Panther. So much was given to the comic community through this. So for me, it's Stan Lee and it's Jack Kirby. Case closed.
All right. Well, excellent choices. And honestly, I was going down the same path that you were. I have to give respect to the old school. I love Kirby art. You know, that's just amazing to me. And if I had to pick other two besides Kirby and Stan Lee, I was actually going to go with Hickman and Byrne. Those are my real close second choices on that
Wow. You
situation.
know what? You know, that's really good in a way too, because Hickman was such a great writer of it, and Byrne was a great writer of it, but a fantastic artist. So to
Yeah.
get them together, you could have them as writer, artist, and co-plotters.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I like that. I like that
Absolutely.
a lot.
Absolutely. Well,
Yeah.
guys in the chat, who do you think? Who do you like for the artist and author? Let's hear from you guys. Kirby invented the FF look and feel. That's right, Snoop. 100%.
He sure did.
100% he did. You know? What else about the FF? I love Alex's Ross covers on the Fantastic Four. They're just fantastic. I wish he would draw more interior work.
Did you get the Full Circle book?
I did. Well, not the collected. I got the individual issues.
Okay, and you've read them.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Alex Ross did a fantastic job on that.
Yeah.
So
yeah. I wish he did
Alex
more.
Ross wrote that and drew that.
Yeah.
So Ross's covers are dynamite. Yeah, Hickman Byrne, make that happen.
Make it happen.
Dude, that would be amazing. Mark Wade has done some great work.
Yeah,
on
he
that.
does.
Mark Wade, anything he touches, man. I just finished his World's Finest. That was so good lately.
Yeah, absolutely.
What was the last one you shot in after Wade? I missed.
I'm sorry. Was it? Oops, I'm sorry.
Oh, Ross gets it.
Ross gets it. Yeah. Actually, Bougie said because I like Hickman on FF.
Oh, absolutely, he was great on FF.
Yeah, 100%.
And you know, there are some people that take FF and they don't. I think they struggle to write it because maybe they don't think the characters are as dynamic as flashy as like the Avengers or other things. But the guys that really get it, that dig into the family aspect of this book, knock it out of the park. You know, when they get into those relationships that are what are making this team go. And a sidelight that's just fun. Ben Grimm is such a great character, and his just the poker games he would have, and the guys in the Marvel universe that would show up for his poker games are epic.
Wolverine's always there. I think Luke Cage has
Well,
been
for
in
what
those.
Miss Marvel, Wonder Man, Miss Marvel,
Wonder Man.
Nick Fury. So his poker games were epic, man. There was a couple great issues of the Marvel 2-in-1 that dealt with the poker games and things going out of hand there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, then I think we could go ahead and wrap this one up. We are at the hour-and-a-half mark. Look at that, Gary. We took this by the reins, and we just plowed through, man. This is amazing. Good job. Love it.
We plowed through. We went off on variants. We had longer, deep dives on topics. So
Mr. Keith's got a good comment here. Let's take a look at that. Who's your favorite actor to play Reed Richards, and will it be Pedro Pascal? And why will it be Pedro Pascal?
Oh, man. Pedro Pascal's a really good actor. I don't know, though, on this. He's not what I would have thought of for it.
Who played that?
I like
Reed Richards in the original movie.
Krasinski. I like Krasinski in it.
Krasinski,
Ian. I know who you're talking.
I can't remember his last name.
Yep.
I thought he looked the part, and he played
I did too.
The super genius that couldn't handle the relationship type of aspect of the situation. He played that very well, and he did look the part. I know.
Yep. I think he did too.
So
I like Krasinski in the brief that he did briefly in.
I like that too.
Richards, I think he would be really good. So, Pascal. Here's the thing. I think Brock Lesnar could be the thing. He could be. I like Pascal, but I was a little put off by him in Wonder Woman 84. I did not like the character he played.
I didn't like that part. But that's the story writing too on that.
No, I agreed. He could only work with what he had, but I just that kind of makes me go, oh.
Yeah.
Alex Hyde White. Who is that? Snoop. Remind me what is he? Who is he? I'm trying to remember.
I don't remember. I don't recognize the name.
Yeah, me neither.
Oh my gosh. That would be funny. Mr. Keith, Bill Murray played the Human Torch on the radio if you didn't know. I did not know that, and I would actually love to hear that.
Wow.
That
would be amazing.
We learned that here. He does have a Reed Richards look. He does.
And you know what? I think he's got a bit of an attitude. I think he's kind of got that attitude of Richards. So
yeah,
I'd been cool with that.
He was on the Corman version. Oh, okay.
He was in the Corman version. Okay,
I remember that.
Gotcha.
Dan's favorite movie.
Dan has them. Dan has every bootleg movie.
Yep, he does. All right, let's go ahead and put this one to bed then. Thank you guys. Thank you all in the chat for joining us. Really appreciate that. Uncle Gary, let's talk about where they can find us at the Codex Station. What can they do?
Oh, listen. If you didn't enjoy all the conversation we've had today from all the randiness that we talk about, you just know that we have all the socials. We're positively dripping with them, and we would like nothing better than to give them to you.
Absolutely. And after you're done doing that, head over to thecodexstation.com, get some merch, meet the team, find so much more about us, get to know us more, find out what our favorite stories are, see our beautiful pictures listed on the site. Little headshots for everybody. But head on over there, folks, and check it out and see get to see so much more. One more time, Gary, where can they find you, buddy? Where can they find you?
Oh, you find me Comic Logic. Yeah. Comic Logic, baby. We are Loudoun County, Virginia's only comic book store. Come see us. If you're in the Northern Virginia area, we'd love to see you. Make your acquaintance. Come by. We talk books, and we would love to see you. We usually also do a Facebook Live show on the first 3 Thursdays of every month. So please come check in and find us there. And comic character of the day. There you go. Grumpy old
Sorry,
nerds.
I couldn't find it fast enough.
No, that's okay. See me, my best friend in life, Mike Harbor, and our principal owner, Rob Kalin. We talk about comics. We talk about current events. We talk about sports. We talk about a bunch of old men stuff. And at the end of the show, we'll tell you to stay off our lawns. So that's what we do as grumpy old nerds. So Sal has chimed in on that show quite a bit. One day we'll have him live sitting there. We all sit in the same
right on
at
the
Comic
couch
Logic. We
next to you.
film it out.
That's right.
Right on the couch. You'd be right there. You can be between me and Mike. I can't think of that's like Disney. I'll be the happiest place on earth for you, my friend.
That's
So
the best.
there
That's the
you
best
go.
Italian sandwich you'll ever have.
Oh man, there you go. That's the spice of the meatball.
That's it.
So there it is. Also, please check out Comic Character of the Day. That is the site run by Archduke Kevy that started. That is the reason a lot of us became acquainted, and that we were, became a natural stepping stone from there to here on the Codex station when we became acquainted. So I do cover of the day. Dan does question of the day, random panel of the day, and Sal's always a frequent contributor, one of our moderators on there. So please come partake of the goodness that's on Comic Character of the Day. Archduke Kevy would love to have you join that, and I think that's the best place we can find me. And this man here, Sal. Comic Corner. He's under Sal's Comic Corner. He's under the corner, and he's the slab guy. And you know what? If he's not giving you the content you want just from the great slabbed books that he has, he can also help you out if you need help in the morgue, because he used to work at the morgue where he first became Sal the slab guy. So he's still got cold hands. His hands are very cold from all that morgue work. So he, when he touches you, it's with the experience of someone that's worked in the morgue, and his internal body temperature is under 40 degrees at all times. So
at all times.
At all times.
Well, thank you very much, Uncle Gary. Yep, you can find me on YouTube under Sal's Comic Corner, and the Instagram as the Slab Guy 77. I post there almost a little bit regularly, maybe once every other week or so. I have a major slab shipment coming in soon.
Ooh.
During the grading process, so stick around. That's going to be a popcorn video where you're going to have to sit back and just relax and enjoy the show. Okay, that's all I'm going to tell you about. But you'll see it here on Codex Station. It'll also be on my channel as well. All right, folks, we are out of here. I hope you guys have a good night, and I hope you all